Und wir freuen uns, dass wir anfangen mit einem Blick von sehr weiter weg, nämlich von England. Michelle Dickson ist Direktorin für Strategie beim Arts Council England. Sie leitet die 10-Jahre-Strategie der Organisation Let's Create 2020-2030. Und ihr erster Umsetzungsplan 2021-2024, davon werden wir heute hören. Michelle ist verantwortlich für die Überwachung der Ergebnisse von Creative People und für die Arbeit des Arts Councils zur Unterstützung der Personen, die im Kultursektor tätig sind. Einschließlich des Programms Developing Your Creative Practice. Sie leitet politische Beiträge zu einer Vielzahl von Programmen und Interventionen und leitet das Policy-Team des Art Councils. Sie sagt, to invest public money in culture is both a huge responsibility and a huge opportunity. To do so without a plan is, at best, optimistic, at worst, reckless. I believe cultural strategies are guiding stars for funders, for stakeholders, and for the cultural sector, to enable us to better serve the public. Herzlich willkommen. Very welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm sorry I don't speak German, so I'll present in English, and hopefully you'll be able to understand me. So I'm going to share my screen and share some slides with you. So I'm Michelle Dickson, Director of Strategy at Arts Council England. We are an investor to support arts, culture, museums and libraries in England. And my job as Director of Strategy included working on developing and now delivering our 10-year strategy, which is called Let's Create, which runs from 2020 through to 2030. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we went about developing it. So why create a plan? I think there's a quote from Seneca, which feels very important and relevant here. There are no fair winds for those who don't know where they're heading. And I think that's true for us as a funder, as an organisation, for those seeking funding from us, but also our stakeholders too. So there's something very powerful about setting out ambitions over such a long period of time, I think. Very practically, we had a previous strategy, which was coming to the end, so we needed a new one. But it's an opportunity to take stock. You know, where are we? What's the evidence and data telling us? And then we can consult, you know, and to really understand what are the key issues that we as a society and the cultural sector within that, and then finally us as an arts council are grappling with. What's the change we're seeking, and the outcomes that we hope to achieve. And I think setting out a vision that spans for 10 years gives you the opportunity to be truly ambitious, and not to settle for something which is within touching distance. But crucially for us, that strategy wasn't just going to gather dust and sit on a shelf. It's our guidebook, it's our handbook. We talk about it every day in our decision making, in our thinking, in our program and policy design. It's a very live piece of work for everyone who works at the Arts Council. And I think also it's our strategy as the Arts Council, but we can't deliver it on our own. And having a strategy that we developed in quite a collaborative way means that we got real ownership and buy-in from the cultural sector and our other partners to that strategy, which helps to create the change that comes with it. The principles I think we adopted in our approach, we started by really wanting to learn from others. So we learned lots about developing strategies. We talked to the team that had developed our previous strategy. We looked at examples from other um, funding bodies within and outside of the cultural sector. So we looked both within the UK, but we also looked internationally as well. And then we started reviewing our evidence. So we looked at everything that we had and commissioned new research where we had evidence gaps. And that included a horizon scan. So, what might the world and England look like in 2030? And that wasn't just about the cultural landscape, that was about demography, technology, changing nature of our lives, and that was incredibly useful. And then we developed a process which was very consultative. So we listened to not just our sector, but members of the public. Most importantly, I think it's public money that we're investing, and what is it that the public want? What are their aspirations and their dreams in relation to creativity and culture? And we were able to play back those perspectives to the sector and to our stakeholders and staff throughout the process, which was incredibly powerful and useful. We used a theory of change approach. So it's a framework to help you to navigate complexity. So we were able to look at what are the key issues and what are the outcomes that we're seeking, and what has to happen in the middle. How do you make change? So what's the impact that we're trying to achieve, and how best to go about that? And again, we did that very transparently. We shared that during our consultation sessions. We were very committed to an inclusive process. So we did a thorough equality analysis before we started work, and had an action plan that we used. So making sure that we had a diversity and plurality of perspectives at every step of the way. And it was very iterative. So we did really three stages. First, a conversation where we were in listening mode. Then we developed our thinking, went and tested it with the sector and the public and staff, developed our thinking again and tested another draft, and then published our strategy. So it was a long process. We spent over 2 years developing our strategy. Um, the issues that we found back in 2017, 2018 that we and the sector told us were the most critical issues were these. So a real imbalance in engagement. Some members of the public were benefiting hugely from our investment, others not at all. And that imbalance related to geography, to socio-economic background, and to other protected characteristics, disability, ethnicity, and so on. People had a real difference of opinion about what is arts and culture, what's excellent, what's good quality, and so on. So traditionally, we'd had quite a narrow interpretation of what we funded, and we were being challenged, particularly by the public, to broaden that. Um, there's a real decline in arts education in schools, which was having a real impact on the creative lives of children. We found a lack of diversity across our sector. We found fragile business models from the organisations delivering arts and culture, and a retreat from innovation and talent development. So those were the issues that we focused on, and what we ended up with was let's create. And now, rather than describing ourselves as a funder, we describe ourselves as a national development agency for creativity and culture. We can't fund everything that we'd like to, so we need to invest strategically, but we also need to work in other ways and bring value through our expertise, our staff, our partnerships and relationships, the economy of scale of our position to bring about further change. And the vision that we landed on is here. By 2030, we want England to be a country in which the creativity of each of us is valued and given the chance to flourish, and where every one of us has access to a remarkable range of high quality cultural experiences. So we introduce creativity as well as culture. And by creativity, we mean individuals being creative. And that might be singing, dancing, writing, participating in workshops or activity. But it's the active engagement in a creative act by the public. And obviously that spans amateur through to commercial. It's a very broad church. And so we're reaching different people in different ways through this. And we landed on three key outcomes, which are set out here: one around creativity, one around cultural communities, which is absolutely about what culture means in a place context. What does it need to thrive, and how can it support communities to thrive more broadly? So it touches on health and well-being, economic growth, skills, all sorts of things that we recognise we can contribute to and play a part in. And then finally, the third sector focuses on the third outcome focuses on the cultural sector and how we can support it to be innovative, collaborative, and international, which are key areas of work for us. And that's underpinned by 4 investment principles, which again were co-created. They came from discussions with the sector, and these are what we think of as the building blocks for well-run organizations. And by supporting the sector to improve in these areas, we think it will better deliver against our outcomes. And so we ask applicants to our funding programs to tell us about the contribution they'll make to these investment principles as well as to our outcomes. But we also put in place lots of interventions to support the sector to make progress in all of these areas. So to wrap up, I think the strengths of the strategy that we have are the power of that 10-year vision. It sits above any individual government term, so it's very definitely our vision. But we're delivering it through shorter term delivery plans, so 3-year plans, which allow us to be responsive to the operating context that we're in. So, we were able to flex through COVID, for example, through our delivery plan, but we didn't have to abandon our strategy. I think the buy-in that we achieved from our partners, stakeholders, and the cultural sector and our staff was really powerful. I think we're really proud that we conducted a transparent, robust process that clearly sets out the changes that we want to address. And I think we're confident that if we can deliver it, we will better serve the public as a result through providing a wider range of activity in a wider range of places for a wider range of people. The articulation of our development role is again an important step forward for us, which has already seen us having conversations and being partners in a wider range of activity than we had done previously. We are really supporting the sector around technology and data, recognizing that we and they need to really adopt some innovative, future looking practice, and that should drive real change. So we've invested quite strongly there. and we've kept inclusion and relevance at the heart of everything. I think some of the learnings are the challenges around measuring impact and how you do that in order to inform the next stage of your work. And we're still grappling with that. So we're in the third year of our first delivery plan, but we don't know enough yet about how well we've done, what progress we've made, and we're already having to start to think about what the next delivery plan looks like. So that's a challenge. Um, I think people have short memories. So whilst we got lots of buy-in to the ideas that sit within our strategy at the time, now that we're actually making change and moving investment around investing in new organizations and less in some others, the resistance starts to be felt, and it's hard. Change is hard, it takes a long time. And as a result, I think that final bullet here about write less, repeat key messages more is something that if I had my time again, I'd probably try and do more of. Just keep reiterating the key points and the evidence for them. Where did they come from? And where are we trying to get to, and hold on to that guiding star, really. And that's it from me.